Macy's, the largest department store in the United States, is taking extreme measures to avoid dire outcomes like bankruptcy due to the coronavirus pandemic. One measure the store is reportedly considering to help weather the crisis is raising up to $5 billion in debt. Joining us now is Evan Clark, the deputy managing editor at Women's Wear Daily. Evan, great to have you here with us today. A lot of trouble for a lot of these retail names, especially department stores. Macy's looking to raise billions of dollars, as I mentioned. Where would that money go, and what changes could we see for Macy's itself?
Well, I mean, I think there's still more questions than there are answers for any of this kind of stuff. But I think uh, most of Macy's business is shut down right now. It's still operating online, but its stores are closed. So I think we're going to see them use that money to kind of just plug that immediate hole in their finances, kind of whenever they, assuming they do get it sorted out. But what changes it means down the line, I think, is going to really depend on what how consumers act when they are able to get back into stores.
Yeah, it's really hard to kind of predict what's going to happen after that, but Macy's has been facing these kinds of issues like foot traffic, same store sales before the pandemic. But during this pandemic, Macy's far from the only major department store in trouble right now. Neiman Marcus, Lord& Taylor, J.C. Penney have either skipped April interest payments, they're reportedly considering bankruptcy, or in some cases both. So as stores remain closed due to the virus, how do you project which stores will actually be standing when the economy reopens? Which ones are resilient?
Well, I think we can look at certainly Nordstrom is seen as one of the strongest operators in the country. Now, it's been hard for them. Their stores are still closed. They've had to cancel a lot of orders and so on. But they've also been, crucially, have been able to tap into the debt markets even during this kind of retail shutdown. So I think it's a good measure of whether or not you'll be standing. Is if you can get someone to loan you money right now, you're in at least a decent place, all things considered. I think we're seeing Pennies and Neiman Marcus have both missed debt payments, and Neiman Marcus is expected, has been, has been on bankruptcy watch lists for a long time, and now is expected to be, filing at some point in the pretty near future here. So I think that that's really the crucial kind of dividing line is who can still tap into the debt markets. So that's why this focus on Macy's is so important.
And US retail sales overall, though, dropped 8.7% in March, which was the biggest drop since this metric has been recorded. How do you think the coronavirus pandemic might permanently, or do you think it might permanently end department stores as we know it, whether it's in terms of size or footprint? What is really going to change permanently here?
Right. Well, I think without a doubt we'll be seeing fewer department stores. I think it's goes too far to call the death of the department store. That for one thing, that's something that people have been talking about for 30 years and they still haven't died. So I think it is a kind of retail, a style of retail that still kind of needs to find its place in the digital world. But I do think that there's just too many department stores right now for it to really be a very profitable channel. But I think it's something that consumers, decade after decade and year after year, have gravitated to. You get an excitement with a big store and a breadth of brands and presentation and product that really isn't can't be duplicated in a mono brand store. So I think there is a place for department stores, but this is without doubt a big test for department stores and all of retail, and we'll definitely see some kind of a consolidation here and shake out. And I wouldn't be surprising at all to see some of these names go away or others merge, or kind of I think everything's on the table right now.
Well, even for consumers who might have enjoyed department stores and have had to turn to e-commerce, right? People who were kind of opposed to it before had to do so because of this pandemic. Do you think major department stores are now going to lean more into digital commerce and invest more in e-commerce in an accelerated way now?
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things to watch here, kind of long term, is that some of these habits that are developing right now are going to stick with consumers. So I think buy online, pick up in store is something that kind of a lot of people were looking at. So if you've gotten used to picking up, just being able to drive by and pick up some essentials, and you kind of, if that's something that works for you now and you get used to it, does that behavior stick? I mean, already retailers were throwing everything they had at the digital channel, really trying to develop that. while also sharpening the experience in their stores. So I think more e-commerce is definitely going to come out of this. On the other side, I also do think that you could, we've all been stuck in our houses for at least a month here, and who knows how long it lasts. When things do open up and people do eventually feel safe being out, I think it's also
Hmm.
possible that people will want to go to stores.
Yeah, good points all around. That's Evan Clark, the deputy managing editor at Women's Wear Daily. Thank you, Evan, for your time.